There are moments in championship legacies when the air thickens with uncertainty, and the very foundation of a dynasty trembles, not with defeat, but with the weight of impossible choices hanging in the balance. Welcome back to Warriors News, Fan Report, where raw truths collide with splash-era passion. Smash that like button, subscribe, and ring the bell so your heart never misses a beat. Tonight, we dive headfirst into the simmering storm that is Jonathan Kuminga's future with the Golden State Warriors. A saga unfolding so quietly yet so publicly that it might just rewrite Russell Westbrook's NBA journey and, by extension, rip through the fabric of the Western Conference playoff landscape. Kuminga, that electrifying young forward bursting with potential, is caught in the dreaded limbo of restricted free agency, unsigned, uncommitted, and igniting a wildfire of speculation that could send shockwaves from Chase Center all the way to Sacramento's Golden One Center. The Warriors front office, ever the architects of a dynasty defined by calculated risk and surgical roster moves, now face a crossroads. Do they gamble on locking Kuminga's high-octane trajectory with a lucrative extension or capitalize on his soaring trade value to address immediate roster gaps that still haunt this splash-era juggernaut? The answer is anything but straightforward. But one thing's crystal clear. Sacramento has emerged not just as a spectator, but as a chess player in this high-stakes game. Sources from the Carmichael Dave Show with Jason Ross and Sacktown Sports 1140 reveal an intriguing alliance in rumor mills. A sign-and-trade involving Kuminga could be the key that unlocks Sacramento's ability to bring in none other than Russell Westbrook, the Mercurial, 9-time All-Star whose relentless drive once powered MVP campaigns and yet now seeks a renaissance after declining his player option with Denver. This is the kind of seismic shift that forces you to ask, could Kuminga's departure pave the road for Westbrook's next chapter, forging a Sacramento lineup reborn with dynamic backcourt firepower and revamped frontcourt versatility? Imagine a Kings roster where Westbrook's playmaking urgency complements the youthful enthusiasms of Keon Ellis, the sharpshooting precision of Zach LaVine, and the bruising inside presence of Domantas Sabonis. With Kuminga stepping into a starting forward role alongside DeMar DeRozan, a roster recalibration combining veterans and vanguards, speed and strength, finesse and ferocity. This isn't just a hopeful reconstruction. It's a calculated gambit, designed to flip a 40-42 season into a playoff push, to sidestep a full rebuild, and to keep Sacramento competitive amid a Western Conference that brooks no weakness. But here's the under-the-radar bomb no one saw coming. The Kings would have to shuffle guards like Devin Carter or Malik Monk, sending them packing to clear cap space and roster logjams for Westbrook's arrival, a domino effect set in motion by Kuminga's potential exit from Golden State. For the Warriors, this is a moment loaded with tension deep enough to drown in. Could trading Kuminga really plug the holes in a roster still craving defensive grit and perimeter depth? Or would this sacrifice chip away at the long-term promise of a splash-era successor, handpicked amid Curry's shadow and Draymond Green's relentless intensity? The stakes intertwine painfully with legacies forged in blood, sweat, and rings, reminding us all that even the greatest dynasties are vulnerable to the unforgiving calculus of the NBA salary cap and front office chess matches. Our minds drift back to the We Believe days, those gritty playoff upsets, that unyielding spirit that took root in Warriors who shared everything on that hardwood. Kuminga embodies the potential to be part of that lineage, a shimmering thread in the Warriors' tapestry of youth, talent, and explosive athleticism. Yet, with the stalled contract talks casting a long, dark shadow, the question blazes brighter than ever. Will Golden State risk gritting their teeth through the off-season impasse, hoping Kuminga's loyalty never wavers, or is the allure of extracting assets via sign-and-trade just too tempting in a league obsessed with the here and now? This delicate dance between patience and pragmatism is more than just roster management. It's a poker game where every whisper, every negotiation, every lingering silence carries the weight of the franchise's future. Could Kuminga be the bargaining chip that flips Westbrook, a former MVP and still one of the most explosive, unpredictable playmakers, into Sacramento's fold, reshaping the Western Conference playoff equation entirely? It's a proposition that flips the script on expectations and forces us to reconsider what leadership, athleticism, and championship aspirations mean in 2024. What if this move becomes the catalyst for Sacramento's leap from fringe playoff hopefuls to legitimate threats capable of disrupting the established order? Meanwhile, the Warriors are left balancing on a razor's edge, tasked with evaluating not just the short-term impact of a possible trade, but the ripple effects that could rob Dub Nation of one of its brightest young stars at a fragile moment in his career. As we watch Klay Thompson inching back from injury, Steph Curry holding the helm with his signature blend of craft and clutch, and Draymond Green orchestrating on both ends like a seasoned general, Kuminga's uncertain future feels like a missing puzzle piece in a championship jigsaw. It demands reflection. Are we witnessing the beginning of a new era defined by pragmatic trades and redefined lineups? Or does this signal the first real fracture in the carefully curated Warriors dynasty, built on splashy threes and tenacious defense? As a lifelong Dub Nation believer, my pulse is racing just writing this, caught between hope and heartache, excitement and exhaustion. But is this the ignition point for our next title run, or the crack that splits our legacy? Drop your unfiltered takes in the comments. I'll be right there, heart in hand. If your chest just tightened reading about Kuminga's crossroads, the one that might fracture or fuel a dynasty, go ahead and tap that rage button in the comments. Let's burn through this silence, because this isn't just another contract saga. It's the heartbeat of what's next for who we are as Dub Nation. Here's the thing. What if this is the storm before the reshaping? The moment that forces Warriors brass to pull the trigger on a move no one saw coming, but everyone will feel. Because we've watched this team rise from the ashes before. From the sleepless nights after the 2019 finals collapse to Steph's sauce-drenched comebacks. But this is a whole new kind of pressure cooker. Kuminga isn't just a pending contract or a trade chip. He's the ledger line to the future, written by Splash Brothers Inc. But his refusal to lock in feels like a ticking time bomb in a kitchen, already humming with tension. The whispers from behind closed doors hint at uneased Steph's greatness, forever in motion. But now looking over his shoulder at the roster, bubbling with uncertainty, Draymond, the maestro of misery and magic, is watching his young charge get dangled on the seesaw of salary caps and rival ambitions while Klay's rehab keeps everyone holding their breath on whether he can recapture that lethal rhythm. And then there's Moody, the raw promise, the high potential, who now finds himself behind a wall of hesitation that's part business, part heartbreak. Imagine the locker room. Curry preaching composure but guards trading glances. Senses sharpened for shifts that could unhinge chemistry. Kerr dissecting lineups, but grappling with a reality where the future can't be promised, only negotiated. From 5 straight finals and multiple rings to a silent, ruthless tug-of-war over one dynamic forward's future. This isn't a mere roster shuffle. It's a seismic crack challenging the soul of what made the Warriors both a juggernaut and a family. Could trading Kuminga unshackle the money to load up defense, adding a scrappy perimeter stopper or a versatile wing, but at what cost? Trading youth speed and explosion for veteran grit is a gamble in a league that worships potential as much as proven impact, especially when Stoke Nation is watching, waiting for the next heart-stopping Curry dagger, the next Draymond defensive masterclass. What if, though, this trade is less about what Golden State gains and more about what Sacramento hopes to ignite? Westbrook's electric yet unstable drive could either propel the Kings to a new echelon or melt their roster cohesion like ice on blacktop summer courts. Yes, it's a storyline drenched in high stakes, a Kings team desperate to avoid another languid rebuild, to transform from pretenders to contenders overnight. But it's also a terrifying proposition for Warriors fans who vividly recall what happens when you let go of a young star too soon. Remember when Jordan Poole first lit up Oracle, only to be overshadowed and eventually traded? Or when Andre Iguodala grew from a forgotten pick to Finals MVP. Kuminga embodies a narrative still unfolding, a what-if waiting to be seized. Or shattered. And here's the raw truth. If the Warriors front office flips Kuminga in a sign-and trade, be ready for a gasping reaction, not just from fans, but from the players whose bonds stretch far beyond contracts and cap sheets. Will Curry find the resolve to shoulder this new reality, or will this fracture the sacred trust forged through rings and playoffs? Will Draymond channel the pain into defensive fire, or will the chemistry strain unravel the Warriors' trademark? Synergy? Will the fans, those who dream in splash threes and live in the shadow of We Believe grit, embrace a new chapter or mourn the silent drift of a dynasty's core? My gut says we stand at a crossroads, stranger than any we've seen since. That knockout playoff Game 7 comeback against Houston, because this moment tests more than contracts. It confronts legacies, hope, and the unyielding identity of a team that built everything on trust, hustle, and a unique kind of joy. As someone who has bled blue and gold through every jaw-dropping moment, from the scratch of the opening tip to the roar that rattles the rafters when confetti showers over Oracle, right now I can feel the ground tremor of something enormous stirring in the ether, that elusive flip between championship sheen and the raw nerves of a rebuild. We've lived the peak of the splash era, riding Steph's high-arching threes like rockets into the stratosphere, and we've tasted the bitter ache of near misses beyond the first round. So when I catch my breath now, it's torn between steadfast loyalty and hard-nosed pragmatism. This isn't simply about one trade or one player, whether it's a rising rookie, a veteran savior, or a salary dump masterstroke. It's the unfolding of a saga that could redefine what Warriors basketball stands for in 2024. Is this the crucible in which our next dynasty is forged, or the tremor that presages our unraveling under the twin pressures of business calculus and ego clashes? I'm burning with the questions no one in the front office will admit out loud. Does this shakeup herald a renaissance of scrappy intensity, where a revamped roster embraces the living on the edge identity that once made us league-wide trailblazers? Or is it the lament of a twilight kingdom, forced to distribute its chest of gold not in pursuit of fresh glory, but to appease cap space creditors? Can Curry's wizardry still pull us through the darkest nights, conjuring that flicker of hope at the end of a fourth quarter? Or will we stare at the scoreboard and wonder if even his golden touch can stave off a slow-motion collapse? And what of the locker room chemistry? Will unproven pieces rise to the occasion when the lights glare harshest? Or will the absence of veteran steadiness in crunch time reduce our last-second heroics to fading recollections? Dub Nation, this is our moment of reckoning, a cliffhanger, charged with every ounce of pride and apprehension we've stored in our bones since the dynasty's birth. As the brass negotiates and pundits pontificate, we, the lifeblood of this franchise, hold our breath, ready to react, ready to roar or rue. So now I challenge you to unleash your rawest, most unfiltered takes. What do you feel trembling in your gut as our saga unfolds? Are you bracing for the next great Warriors chapter, one where hunger supplants comfort and fight replaces swagger? Or do you tremble at the thought that this seismic shift might be the quiet prologue to our final curtain call? Speak your mind, bleed your passion into the comments, and let's ride this wave together. Because while deals are made behind closed doors, the fans are the heartbeat of it all, and I'll be right here, heart blistering, ready to embark on whatever comes next with every one of you.